Okay, happy Cinco de Mayo. Celebrate. Again, save the alcohol for later when you're done with all your homeworks and with everything else. Okay?
Including it.
Okay, so let's clarify the circulatory system, okay? Including the function of the lungs, okay? Because it seems like you're having a hard time answering me, okay? Answering my question. What's the difference between the pulmonary and the systemic? The systemic is throughout the body, correct? Okay, and the pulmonary is just within the lungs, okay? However, okay, what is the role of the lungs in the circulatory system? Okay, let's find out. And then all this cobwebs and all this confusion can be cleared out, okay? Now when I ask you, you can differentiate the two. Can you see my screen?
So here I copied this from Wikipedia, this diagram of the human circulatory system. And here in the back, you can see the lungs. Let me do it in a nice dark color. So we have our lungs here. Drew them right like that. Those are our lungs. You can see the heart is sitting right in the middle. And what we learned in the last few videos is that we have our little alveoli in our lungs. Remember, we get to them from our bronchioles, which are branching off of the bronchi, which branch off of the trachea, which connects to our larynx, which connects to our pharynx, which connects to our mouth and nose. But anyway, we have our little alveoli right there. And then we have the capillaries. The capillaries. So when we go away from the heart, away from the heart, and we're going to delve a little bit into heart in this video as well. So when blood travels away from the heart, it's deoxygenated. It's this blue color. So this right here is blood. This right here is blood traveling away from the heart. It's going behind these two tubes right there. So this is the blood going away from the heart. So this blue that I've been highlighting just now, these are the pulmonary arteries. So the pulmonary arteries, and then they keep splitting into arterioles and all of that. And eventually we're in capillaries, super small tubes. They run right past the alveoli, and then they become oxygenated. They become oxygenated, and now we're going back to the heart. So we're talking about pulmonary veins. So we go back to the heart. So these capillaries, the capillaries, we get oxygen. Now we're going to go back to the heart. If you can see what I'm doing. And now we're going back to the heart, and we're going to enter the heart on this side. We're going to enter the heart right over. You actually can't even see where we're entering the heart. We're going to enter the heart right over here, and I'm going to go into more detail on that. Now we have oxygenated blood. It's red, and then that gets pumped out to the rest of the body. Now, this is the interesting thing. When we're talking about pulmonary arteries and veins, remember the pulmonary artery was blue. As we go away from the heart, we have deoxygenated blood. But it's still an artery. Then as we go towards the heart from the lungs, we have a vein, but it's oxygenated. Let me write that down. I wrote that in the last video, but pulmonary. So the pulmonary artery, no oxygen, or maybe I shouldn't write that. I should write deoxygenated, because there might be some oxygen, deoxygenated. And then the pulmonary vein, it has oxygen. So that's this little loop here that we start, and I'm gonna keep going over the circulation pattern because the heart can get a little confusing, especially because of its kind of three-dimensional nature. But what we have is the heart pumps deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle. You're saying, hey, why is it the right ventricle? That looks like the left side of the drawing. But it's this dude's right-hand side, right? This is this guy's right hand, or this is his right hand. And this is this dude's left hand. He's looking at us, right? We don't care about our right and left. We care about this guy's right and left, and he is looking at us. He's got some eyeballs, and he's looking at us. So this is his right ventricle. Actually, let me just start off with the whole cycle. So we have deoxygenated blood coming from the rest of the body, right? This is deoxygenated blood coming from the rest of the body right here. This is actually the name for this big pipe. It's called the inferior vena cava. Inferior because coming up below. Actually, you have blood coming up from the arms and the head up here. They're both meeting right here. They meet here in the right atrium. Let me label that. I'm gonna do a big diagram of the heart in a second. So it's the right atrium. And why are they deoxygenated? Because this is blood returning from, you know, our legs if we're running, or returning from our brain, which needed that had to use respiration, or maybe we're working out and it's returning from our biceps. But it's deoxygenated blood. It shows up right here in the right atrium. It's on our left, but this guy's right-hand side. From the right atrium, it gets pumped into the right ventricle. It gets pumped into, or it actually passively flows into the right ventricle. The ventricles do all the pumping. Then the ventricle contracts and pumps this blood right here. And you don't see it, but it's going behind this part right here. It goes from here through this pipe. So you don't see it. I'm going to do a detailed diagram in a second. Into the pulmonary artery. We're going away from the heart. This was a vein, right? This is a vein going to the heart. This is a vein. Inferior vena cava, vein. This is superior vena cava. These are veins. They're deoxygenated. Then I'm pumping this deoxygenated blood away from the heart to the lungs. Now this deoxygenated blood, this is in an artery, right? This is a pulmonary artery. Then it gets oxygenated. And now it's a pulmonary vein. And once it's oxygenated, it shows up here in the left. Let me do a better color like that. It shows up right here in the left atrium. Atrium, you can imagine it, you know, it's kind of a room with a skylight, or that's open to the outside. And in both of these cases, things are entering from above, not sunlight, but blood is entering from above. And on the right atrium, the blood is entering from above. And in the left atrium, the blood is entering, and remember, the left atrium is on the right-hand side from our point of view. On the left atrium, the blood is entering from above, from the lungs, from the pulmonary veins. Veins go to the heart. Then it goes into, and I'll go into more detail, into the left ventricle, and then the left ventricle pumps that oxygenated blood to the rest of the body, via the non-pulmonary artery. So everything you saw, it pumps out. Let me make it a nice dark non-blue color. So it pumps it out through there. You don't see it right here, the way it's drawn. It's a little bit of a strange drawing, or it's hard to visualize, but I'll show it in more detail. And then it goes to the rest of the body. Let me show you that detail right now. So we said we have deoxygenated blood. Let's label it right here. This is the superior vena cava. This is vein. This is a vein from the upper part of our body, from our arms and heads. This is the inferior vena cava. This is veins from our abdomen and from our legs and the rest of our body. So it first enters the right atrium. Remember, it's the right hand. We call it the right atrium because this is someone's heart facing us, even though this is on the left-hand side. It enters through here. It's deoxygenated blood. It's coming from veins. The body used the oxygen. Then it shows up in the right ventricle, right? These are valves in our heart. And it passively, once the right ventricle pumps and then releases, it has a vacuum and it pulls more blood from the right atrium. It pumps again, and then it pushes it through here. Now, this blood right here, remember, this one still is deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood, it goes to the lungs to become oxygenated. So this right here is the pulmonary. I'm using the word pulmonary because it's going to or from the lungs, or it's dealing with the lungs, and it's going away from the heart. It's the pulmonary, the way is artery, pulmonary artery, and it's deoxygenated, Then it goes to the heart, rubs up against some alveoli, and then gets oxygenated. And it gets oxygenated, and then it comes right back. Now this right here, it comes back just like that. This right here, we're going to the heart, so that's a vein. We're dealing where it's in the loop with the lungs, so it's a pulmonary vein. And it rubbed up against the alveoli and got the oxygen diffused into it, so it is oxygenated. And then it flows into your left atrium. Now the left atrium, once again, from our point of view, is on the right-hand side, but from the dude looking at us, it's his left-hand side. So it goes into the left atrium. Now in the left ventricle, after it's done pumping, it expands, and so that blood, that oxygenated blood, flows into the left ventricle. Then the left ventricle, the ventricles are what do all the pumping. It squeezes, and then it pumps the blood it pumps the blood into the aorta. Now, the aorta, this is an artery. This is an artery. Why is it an artery? Because we're going away from the heart. Is it a pulmonary artery? No, we're not dealing with the lungs anymore. The lungs, we dealt with the lungs when we went from the right ventricle, went to the lungs in a loop, back to the left atrium. Now when we're in the left ventricle, we pump into the aorta. Now this is to go to the rest of the body. This is an artery, a non-pulmonary artery, and it is oxygenated. And I want to make this, so when we're dealing with non-pulmonary arteries, we're oxygenated, but a pulmonary artery has no oxygen. It has to going away from the heart to get the oxygen. Pulmonary vein comes from the lungs to the heart with oxygen, but the rest of the veins go to the heart without oxygen because they want to go into that loop on the pulmonary loop right there. So I'll leave you there. Hopefully that gives, actually, let's go back to that first diagram. I think you have a sense of how the heart is dealing. Let's go look at the rest of the body and just get a sense of things. You can look this up on Wikipedia if you like. All of these different branching points have different names to them. But you can see right here, you have a kind of a branching off a little bit below the heart. This is actually the celiac trunk. Celiac, if I remember correctly, kind of refers to an abdomen. So this blood, the blood that your hepatic artery, hepatic deals with the liver. Your hepatic artery branches off of this to get blood flow to the liver. It also gives blood flow to your stomach. So it's very important with digestion and all of that. And then let's say this is the hepatic trunk. Your liver is sitting like that. Hepatic trunk. It delivers oxygen to the liver. The liver is doing respiration. It takes up the oxygen, and then it gives up carbon dioxide, so it becomes deoxygenated, and it flows back in. It flows back into the inferior vena cava, into the vein. I want to make it clear. It's a loop. It's a big loop. The blood doesn't like just flow out someplace and then come back someplace else. This is just one big loop. And if you want to know at any given point in time, depending on your size, there's about 5 liters of blood. And I looked it up. On average, it takes the average red blood cell to go from the one point in the circulatory system and go through the whole system and come back 20 seconds. That's an average, because you can imagine there might be some red blood cells that get stuck someplace and take a little bit more time, and some go through the completely perfect route. Actually, the 20 seconds might be closer to the perfect route. I've never timed it myself, but it's an interesting thing to look at and to think about what's connected to what. That you have these arteries up here that they first branch off the arteries up here into from the aorta into the head and the neck and the arm arteries, and then later they go down and then they flow blood to the rest of to the rest of the body. So anyway, this is a pretty interesting idea. In the next video, what I want to do is talk about how.
Okay, so now we could take off all the cobwebs and clarify what I've been asking you from the beginning, which is the systemic versus the pulmonary system. Which one is deoxygenated? Which one is oxygenated? Okay, again, this video came from Khan Academy, and the link is sent in the chat box, or it's going to be below. So can we fix what we were talking about? There was a confusion a while ago. Julio, would you like to fix your answer a while ago? And summarize the circulation based on this clarification.
Circulation, systemic circulation, it's from the heart to the whole body, and the veins contain the oxygenated blood, and the arteries contain oxygenated blood. On the loop, on the pulmonary loop, the arteries contain deoxygenated blood, and the vein contain oxygenated blood.
Who agrees? Okay, so is it the opposite?
Yes, it is.
It is the opposite, okay? So when you're asked, what does the artery do? What does a vein do, okay? Carries what? Oxygenated or deoxygenated? The general answer usually is, if we're talking about artery, that's going to be oxygenated. If we're talking about vein, that's going to be deoxygenated. But that's not particularly true when we're talking about pulmonary. Pulmonary circulation, pulmonary, when we're talking about the pulmonary system, okay, or the blood flow, the arteries carry deoxygenated blood, and the veins carry oxygenated blood. Is that clear? Okay, so you know the function of the heart and the lungs in terms of circulation, what the lungs do. Why is the lungs an important part of the heart when we're talking about circulation? Okay, why is it important? And why is the sequence cardiovascular system, respiratory system, and then the gastrointestinal system? Okay, because the heart and the lungs are connected when we're talking about circulation. Okay, let's do a quick review. Okay. Can you still see my screen? No. Can you see the terminologies? Not yet. Okay. Now, can you see the terminologies? Yes, perfect. Okay. So key terms: circulatory system, the body system responsible for carrying blood, nutrients, and waste throughout the body. When you hear the word cardiac, it has something to do with the heart. When you hear the word pulmonary, it has something to do with the lungs. And he mentioned another organ. What was that? Stormy's mouthing, the liver. What is that term for the liver? Hepatic. Hepatic, hepato. Okay, so we're doing medical terminologies right now. Artery, blood vessels. Artery, blood vessel that moves blood away from the heart. Okay, this is how we remember. A artery, away, but you have to remember it's away from the heart. Okay, A, away. You have to remember it's from the heart, away from the heart. Vein, blood vessel that moves blood toward the heart. A is away from the heart, vein is toward the heart. Aorta, on the other hand, is the major artery. So aorta is an artery, not a vein, okay? It's a big artery that carries blood to the systemic circulation, meaning entire body, okay? Capillary are small blood vessels that allows nutrient exchange. Atrium is the upper chamber of the heart, okay? Ventricle is the lower chamber of the heart. There are 4 chambers, okay? Right artery, right ventricle, left artery, left ventricle. And remember, when you do that, it has to be the perspective of the patient, the one speaking. So this is going to be my right artery and my right ventricle, right side. It's going to be my left artery and left ventricle. But it said in here, okay, that right atrium, I'm sorry, right atrium, keep saying artery because I kept emphasizing to you the artery and the vein, okay? RA is right atrium. This is going to be my right, which I think is the left. You're looking at my left side, okay? Mirror image, right atrium and right ventricle. Atrium will be, what did it say? On top. Ventricle will be at the bottom, okay? And then this is going to be my left chambers, left atrium, okay? And then left ventricle, the 4 chambers. So when I draw the heart, I don't draw the actual heart. I draw a box quadrant, okay? Because I don't know how to draw. When God showered talent for drawing, I was sleeping or drunk. Hopefully not drunk. I don't think drunk, but maybe sleeping, okay? So I can't draw. I use diagrams, okay? Speaking of diagrams, yesterday my son was reading an article about doodling, okay? They tested that how many percent? 26 people. No, 26% of people who doodle.
No, 29%.
Oh, okay. So it's good with numbers. Okay, 29% of people who doodle, based on the study, learn better. Okay, Or is it they learn 29% more?
They produce 29% more information than the other group.
Okay, so the test, the experiment was, okay, a group that doodles versus a group that doesn't doodle. The group that doodles, which I'm trying to tell you something, take notes. Don't just be satisfied with my lecture packets and my video lectures and my audio lectures. You have to take notes as you listen. You have to take notes as you watch, okay?
You need to doodle.
You need to doodle, okay? We read that in the article because you retain 29% more information, okay? So I know I was showing you a video, okay? But you should be taking down notes, okay? I was trying to take notes for you by putting it in the chat room. However, okay, you can't rely on that. You have to write your own notes. You have to take note by yourself, okay? Is that clear? These are important key terms. Again, this is on Khan Academy, and you can register as a student or register as a teacher. I'm registered as a teacher, so I have extra access to it. I like the key terms because it helps you, okay? Okay, mommy needs to work. Any question on the circulatory system? No questions? Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to be continuing with the diseases that affect the circulatory system. I may intertwine the circulatory and the respiratory system as I speak about diseases and the drugs, okay? Jason, how's your tacos? Is it tacos?
No, it's a bacon pizza.
Bacon pizza. Okay.
With egg on it too. So.
Okay. I changed, oh cool. I changed my my background. Save the alcohol till homework is done. Okay? Okay, I don't have the 10-minute warning yet. So what I'd like to do is to give you a 15-minute break. Okay? Come back at 11:25. Okay? And then we'll do math. Okay, so you can flip that switch and do math. Okay, so set your timers. Let's come back at 11:25 and we'll do math. Okay, Josh, you may leave. Okay, but you're welcome to stay if you want to refresh on math. Okay, any questions? No questions? Okay. See you at 11:25. Bye.